Hello. Today, a step in the process of making sure my environment's right for helping me with a full recovery and just ticking off every single box as far as things that could be affecting me as far as recovery wise and environmentally. I spoke about it in the video where I was getting the PET scan about your air quality, water quality and things like that. So a few of the things that we're going through to make sure that my environment is as good as it can be through recovery and going on as far as helping my immune system not react to certain things, because obviously my immune system's compromised. You know, not everybody has to go through this, but because it's compromised and because I have the disease, then I'm just making sure I'm ticking off every single box in that process. And I think it's really important for somebody to know if it's something that you've never really considered before. It's something I have considered in the past, but you always sort of say, oh, you know, I'm healthier than that, I don't think I have to worry about that. But obviously my immune system was compromised enough for me now to worry about these things. So I thought I'd just run you through some of the things that we're doing to make sure my environment's sort of in the right spot and where it needs to be when I'm getting treatment and I'm not so well, my immune system's crashed, that everything is how it needs to be to help me recover fully. One of the first things, and this is a pretty basic thing, is obviously your air quality, and that just comes down to a couple of different things. Obviously it's hot as hell where we live in Queensland, especially at the moment. So you can see I've pulled apart this air conditioner here because I wanted to check out what the quality of that was like inside this region in here, because that's where black mold builds up. And I already said it, I did find black mold in here when I pulled it all apart. So if you have a look, see these black specks along here? That's where I sprayed some stuff in there to just try and kill the mold off. If you can see in behind these grills, there's all this black blotchy stuff. If it will focus, all in behind there, all in this, in behind there, it's all black mold. So I sort of got to the point where I'm not going to clean this out and compromise my health anymore. There's professional people that do it. So I've got onto a place called Hydrorkleen, and they're coming out this morning. They clean out the black mold and they do a full bacterial treatment on it, and they do it to the split system unit outside as well to make sure that's not all compromised, and they do a treatment on that and they guarantee it for 12 months so you don't have any mold or irritants that are going to come out of your aircon. And another simple step in the process, which most of you might already do or might not, is these things. Plants. Having indoor plants. So we've always had a few plants, but now we're going to the extent of having, there's a little pygmy palm there, a minimum of 1 to 2 plants in every single room on there, and we've got like I think 9 or 10 plants in this room. They're just absolutely everywhere because plants obviously remove the toxins from your environment. So we are making sure that we have as many plants in our environment as possible. We picked out these specific plants, most of these specific plants, because they are particular plants that actually remove benzene from the air, and benzene is a contributing factor to types of lymphoma. Benzene exposure, which is the main ingredient in fuel. And I think it's super important for us to have these plants. I think it's super important for us to have these plants in general, but especially here, because right here where we live, going over us right now is planes, and we're in the flight path of the airport. So when you have a compromised immune system and those emissions are constantly dropping on you, and you have stuff like soot building up outside, so that's why we have all these plants to sort of help us clear the environment, and then also making sure that our aircon is not spitting out any mold, we don't have any moisture build up in there. That's a pretty big factor for having some type of immune response. To make extra sure that the air's staying clean, I've been recommended on to certain type of air purifiers as well to do a certain size space. So actually last night yesterday I went for a drive to go buy an air purifier because there's a specific one I want, which is called a Winix 9500 5-stage air purifier that has a HEPA filter in it, which is like a hospital grade filter to remove any type of contaminant from the air. So I went for a drive over the north side yesterday. Once I got over there, I figured out you actually couldn't buy it in store or pick it up. You could only order it online. So we ordered one online last night, and that should be here in the next few days or so. So when I get that and switch it on, I'll do a bit of a review on how we think that works, how loud it is, how big it is, whether it's ugly in the room, where we're going to put it. And obviously if it's big enough to do the entire space that we live in, because I'd also maybe like to buy a small one that's going to do inside the baby's room as well. So we're just doing everything we can as far as airborne contaminants to help my immune system out. And then we move on to the water quality after that. All of these things are possible us to be able to get the air purifier, get things cleaned out, all that sort of stuff, without having to worry about spending the extra money to do all this sort of stuff, because it all adds up, and that's all because of everybody that's helped us out and donated their time and money in some way, whether it's been, you know, our gym Fitstop Morningside and my jiu-jitsu gym Advanced Martial Arts, and people that have donated through the GoFundMe page. It's all because of you, so that me and this clown here can live a long, healthy lifestyle.
Way better than what I thought I was.
That's what today is. We're also today, I've got to go back to the cancer centre today to get the final verdict, I guess you could call it, on what stage the cancer's at, because I've had the PET scan, I've had the bone marrow biopsy. Today I go for an echocardiogram to check out the structure of the heart. Then 3:40 this afternoon we sort of get to know what we're dealing with and what the treatment's going to be like. Yummy.
Oh, cool, setup. Is that all mould?
That's a combination of mould and dirt, DNA, skin and hair. Once it gets in there, the mould does the job, breaking it all down. Well, it's not too bad compared to a lot of ones I see.
Does the mould get created when it's on or when it's off and the moisture stays? Is it?
Oh, it's a combination. So what happens is you'll get your dust and dirt and your DNA, hair and skin, and it'll form a biofilm on the plastic and the actual fan. Yep. And on the coil, and you get condensation with humidity, dark spot, so it provides some, and often there's mould around as well, so aircon will pick up lots of airflow through, so once it picks something up,
spores and then
yeah, so
go from there.
Once your biofilm starts, the only way to stop it is to remove the biofilm.
Yep. And that treatment you said lasts about 12 months or?
So we can keep the mould off the coil for 12 months, but the plastic just depends on dirt and dust and how much you use it, what temperature you use it, things like that.
you say it's the main service that you guys is just the mold removal, pretty much?
Yep.
Yeah.
Mold and dirt.
I suppose there's probably more. You reckon it's more prevalent because of our humidity?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The humidity, and you find if you go outside, some different places, trees or under the eaves will often be mold.
Yeah.
As well, so it picks it up from different places.
So aircon unit is done and dusted, back to brand new. You should see the crap that comes out of these things. You might see it in the little part of the video that I showed before. So the company we just used for that called Hydrorkleen. It's Michael and Belinda from Hydrorkleen, South Brisbane. I think they're all over Australia, but South Brisbane's obviously our closest area, so those guys came out and they're really busy. And the thing that's awesome is that I explained to Belinda the situation I'm in with treatment coming up, and they sort of dropped everything and came out this morning to service that for me before I go through my treatment. So I'm very appreciative of that. Thank you guys. We breathe in clean air. They clean this out as well to make sure everything's functioning fine and it's doing what it should be. And man, did Michael have some horror stories and photos and videos of some units and the amount of mold and crap that people have in their air conditioning units they just don't know about. So I encourage you to breathe clean air and get something like that done. I'll chuck a link in the description to their Hydrorkleen business so you can check them out. It was very cost effective for what Michael just came out and did and the time he was here in. Like, it was so cheap to just know and guarantee that we're breathing clean air. And the interesting thing I found was Michael said that they do work for the Leukemia Foundation. So because people that are in this situation have compromised immune systems cannot be breathing in that mold because it's just so bad for the immune system and your lungs and your microbiome and your lungs. So I found it very interesting that they worked with the Leukemia Foundation to make sure that people are getting these cleaned out and getting rid of all those nasty molds and dusts and things like that. So that's one thing off the list. Air quality ticked off, done and dusted. Next we move on to the water.